President Trump and FBI Director Kash Patel held a joint press conference in the Oval Office this afternoon. The two touting federal law enforcement's efforts to combat crime in major cities across the U.S., while also revealing which city could be next. The National News Desk, Jeff Harris, joining us. So a lot of updated statistics were shared today, Jeff, ranging from arrests to drugs seized. A lot of information. Break it down for us.
So one of the biggest stats shared in the Oval Office earlier today was that since taking office in January, 23,000 violent criminals have been arrested. But both President Trump and FBI Director Kash Patel diving deeper into firearms, drugs, and also gangs. In a busy Wednesday afternoon in the Oval Office, Patel touting the success of the FBI since President Trump reclaimed the White House, including tracking down and capturing 4 of its 10 most wanted fugitives.
This includes a lady who murdered her 6-year-old handicapped child and fled to India. We got her in 2 months.
President Trump sharing that in the same time period, the FBI has arrested at least 23,000 violent criminals, more than double during former President Biden's last year in office.
Honestly, we haven't really even gotten going yet.
Some of the other numbers shared: the FBI destroyed or disrupted 170 organized criminal enterprises, including 1,600 of the most violent gangs, while also confiscating 6,000 illegal guns. Meanwhile, the ATF removing over 25,000 guns.
Men and women of law enforcement say 2 things to me repeatedly. First, you have taken the handcuffs off them and let them do their jobs, and you let cops be cops.
Patel taking the time Wednesday to highlight Operation Summer Heat, a 3-month FBI initiative from June to September combating violent crime in several major U.S. cities. The results: over 8,700 arrests, 2,200 gun seizures, 421 grams of fentanyl seized, over 550 missing children located, with so far 2,100 indictments.
That in and of itself would be historic for a 4-year presidency. You did that in 7 months because you let good cops be cops.
Trump also revealing during the press conference which city the administration could be targeting next in its crime crackdown.
That you start looking at San Francisco. I think we can make San Francisco. There's one of our great cities 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now it's a mess.
Now, aside from San Francisco, Trump recently saying Baltimore and Boston could be next. The president this week even threatening to relocate next year's World Cup matches scheduled to be played in suburban Boston. Reporting for the National News Desk, I'm Jeff Harris.
President Trump says he's ready to expand the deployment of federal forces to more cities with Democratic mayors, now eyeing San Francisco. The announcement came during a press conference touting FBI statistics released last week, detailing more than 8,600 arrests during Operation Summer Heat, a nationwide crime crackdown.
I'm going to be strongly recommending, at the request of government officials, which is always nice, that you start looking at San Francisco. I think we can make San Francisco. There's one of our great cities 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now it's a mess.
There was a significant spike in crime in San Francisco during the pandemic, but according to the San Francisco Police Department, violent crimes like homicide, rape, and assault have all declined by double-digit percentages compared to this time last year. Mayor Daniel Lurie put out this message on police recruitment just an hour before the president instructed his DOJ to look at going into San Francisco.
Update on our Rebuilding the Ranks initiative to increase the number of SFPD officers. It's working. We've had 4 consecutive fully staffed recruitment classes, and a 5th starts in December.
The president also threatening to move World Cup games out of cities like Boston or Los Angeles if he thinks crime is too high.
If we think there's any reason that, whether it's Boston or anywhere else, that they're not doing their job, we're going to take those World Cup games and move them someplace else.
Just before the press conference, we learned a federal judge extended 2 orders that block the deployment of National Guard troops in Oregon and California by another 2 weeks, which the administration is challenging. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
This is K2 News at 5, on your side.
We find that it's extremely important to be out here to show the federal government, especially Trump, we are not afraid. We are not afraid of this presence, and we're here to stand up against ICE and stand up against the threats.
Portlanders continue to push back against the White House and federal agencies tonight, while federal judges consider what to do with President Trump's National Guard deployment. Multiple protests are taking place across the city. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us for K2 News at 5, everyone. I'm Barry Mangold. It has been another weekend full of protests here in Portland, and we've seen several confrontations between protesters and officers outside the ICE facility in Portland, including just last night. For a live update, let's get to K2's Jennifer Singh, who joins us live outside the ICE facility right now. Jen, it looks like a crowd is definitely formed outside of there with multiple protests. What are you seeing?
Yeah, basically right now is when we just saw things escalate. We just saw 2 to 3 people being taken in by ICE agents who got out of the way. Where you can see that crowd is massive in numbers this afternoon, and you can see people are lining up. We just saw ICE agents walk out of the building just a few moments ago, pushing people back physically into the crowd and off the street. As I said again, we saw 2 to 3 people taken in by ICE agents. It was unclear how many due to how many people were surrounded at one time. Now, this is where, like I said, we saw things escalate for the first time today. We saw the naked bike ride actually come through here just before the newscast at around 4:15. That had hundreds of people participating, many of those people sticking around this evening, early afternoon. So if the scene is blurry right now, it's because we do want to keep things friendly at home. Now, like you mentioned, there have been a number of protests, including this one going on. That includes a rally of well over 100 people. That's where protesters marched from Elizabeth Crothers Park to the ICE facility. Most of those protesters still here this evening. And since protesters arrived at 3 p.m., things have remained, well, up to this point, have remained peaceful. Protesters have been blocking off the roadway on and off, to which Portland police have periodically come through to move people back. Participants say they are frustrated with recent claims that Portland is war-ravaged, say they will continue to protest rain or shine.
Look what's going on here at ICE. There are peaceful protests who are going on. I mean, you see videos of people out in costumes out here. It's most of the time a party with music, and people are out here trying to stand against ICE. So it's extremely important that we stand with the community and also put pressure on our city government, especially our mayor, to revoke the ICE permit.
And the same protest last Saturday ended not so peacefully when protesters were met with confrontation when they reached the ICE facility. Protesters were sprayed with what appeared to be a mixture of tear gas and pepper balls. And we're told today's protest was also another chance to show they will continue to show up. Now, we want to get back out here where we are seeing ICE agents and Department of Homeland Security officers out across the street. We have not seen this yet, where that crowd is over across from the facility. We believe at least one person is being taken into arrest. Taken into custody, I mean. See one person being taken in. It looks like it was just that one person that they were taking in, as these officers are now being pushed back. I want to let you guys watch this unfold, as the ICE agents walk back into the gates. And up on the top of the roof, you could see the officers ready with pepper ball guns. And those pepper balls being deployed right now. All right, and we will stay out here and continue to follow this evening. Again, this has been the first time we've seen tensions escalate afternoon so far. We'll be live out here and continue to give you the latest updates when we can. But for now, live in South Portland, Jennifer Singh, K2 News.
We're going to get another live report from you coming up tonight at 6. That's certainly the first time we've seen pepper balls being deployed in the daylight hours that we've seen in quite some time. We'll have another update again from Jennifer coming up on K2 News at 6. Also tonight, we are continuing to follow the Trump administration's appeal of the temporary restraining order that is currently blocking National Guard troops from being deployed to Portland. No ruling has come down this weekend. Here's a recap of the legal timeline so far and some of the main arguments that we've seen. President Trump ordered the National Guard to deploy to Portland late last month. The city and state immediately sued and asked a judge to block the administration from doing so. Just last week, Judge Karen Immergut sided with the state and approved a temporary restraining order blocking the troops, which is set to expire October 18th. The judge said that the facts on the ground did not support the deployment. Then the federal government appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, asking to let the White House deploy the National Guard as the lawsuit continues through the full legal process. The appeals court, that is, said that it would rule as quickly as possible. For now, the troops will remain under federal control. However, they cannot be deployed. Continue following that case, and we'll bring you the latest information as soon as it comes into our newsroom. Also happening this week, a group of 4 city councilors will propose a new plan to push back on what they call federal overreach. Their plan is called the Protect Portland Initiative, and if it's passed, it would have several aspects and different parts, including a directive to have Portland police officers attempt to identify any federal troops they encounter and document what they're doing.
If they identify themselves, fantastic. Let's verify that that is who they are by checking in with their bureau. And if they won't identify themselves, we need to log that. And then we need to investigate who might have been doing work in our community at that time. Again, because Portlanders have the right to know what federal agents are doing in our community, in our home.
And that's Council President Alana Pertle-Guiney. She's one of the 4 members behind the Protect Portland initiative. The entire city council will discuss it Wednesday night.
Law enforcement officials and faith leaders regularly come together to collaborate on building the safest and strongest communities in America. And this past weekend, millions joined together for Faith in Blue Weekend to continue that yearly tradition. And joining us now to discuss is Loudoun County Sheriff Mike Chapman, who was reelected to a 4th term and also selected as the 2023 Sheriff of the Year. Always great to see you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you, Jan.
So why are faith-based organizations so important, do you think, to building the key bonds between law enforcement and the residents they serve?
Well, they're the largest and most diverse group of people that we have throughout the county, and it's important for us as law enforcement officials to reach out to all the different various organizations, church organizations, different faiths and all that, to develop that trust, that community trust that we have, so that they feel comfortable in working with us and reporting things to us, and we feel comfortable with them. It's just it's just one hand shakes the other. It really works out well for us to be very well connected with our community.
How has your faith personally played a role in your position as a leader to nearly 1,000 deputies and civilian personnel? You've got a huge staff there.
Well, it's a dangerous job, and I think faith is a good thing to have. We go out there every single day. You don't know what you're going to encounter, and that's important. It's important to have to understand where you stand in life, and it's good to have God with you when you're out there, because we need to have that kind of support and feel good about what we're doing out there. So for me, it's always been important. I've been doing this now for 47 years, and so I think faith has really served me well, and I think it serves everybody well that's in this profession.
And you also serve on the executive board of the National Sheriff's Association. So I want to ask you about your conversations with some of the other big city sheriffs in areas like Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, the Chicago suburbs there. These are elected officials. So what do they think about the anti-ICE protests and all the threats around these federal agents and the National Guard, trying to come in to these cities to help crack down on crime?
Well, it's a difficult position to be in because, mostly in the big cities, what you have are police departments and police chiefs, and the police chiefs are answering to politicians that may not be in sync with what's going on with the federal.
Because they're selected by the mayor. That's why, not by the people. They're selected by the mayor.
That's right. As elected officials, we have a lot more latitude in doing what we're doing locally, and it really kind of depends on where you're at in the country and what kind of challenges that you're facing out there. That really comes down to the individual sheriff's office, and how they perceive the problem and going out there. I think it's important that we, and I've always felt this way, and having formerly been a federal agent with the Drug Enforcement Administration, I've always felt that it's important for us to work across the board with all of our counterparts. You know, we're all part of the same mission. Our mission is to try to keep our communities safe, and that's what we want to do. So I think it's important that we engage, and certainly, you know, with the challenges that are being faced now with the federal counterparts being in these big cities, if people are in danger and they can't get the support that they need from the local police, from the city police, it's important that I think sheriffs engage and help out in any way that they can. You know, for us, all the activity has been in the Washington, D.C. area, and we're just outside of Washington, D.C. We haven't been asked to help down there. They've actually had pretty much under control, but I know that that's a little bit different. That situation is different than other cities throughout the country. But we're certainly able and willing and ready to help out in any way we can. We want to make sure that we keep our law enforcement officials safe. We want to keep the community safe. That's what we do. That's our job.
You know, as a DEA agent and also somebody who's also, you know, sheriff there in Loudoun County, do you feel like the war on drugs that we're having, do you feel like you've seen less of some of these drugs being trafficked into your county or more in the past few years?
Well, I would say in the, you know, most recently it's actually gone down. I think we're having success because of the what's going on at the border and the actions by our president and this administration to close down the border. That really is the biggest you know, entry point for drugs coming into this country. We want to make sure that whatever we can do to stop it from coming into this country, that's step one. The other step is to educate our people and make sure that they understand the dangers of consuming these drugs and the death that's associated with them, and just the hardship that it puts on families just across the board. It's just a no-win situation. So we're seeing, I think, a decline in that, and I think it all has to do with a new attitude and a new direction with this administration to really clamp down and hold these criminals accountable. I think that's extremely important.
And finally, very quickly, in your home state of Virginia, the Democratic candidate running for Attorney General Jay Jones sent text messages envisioning the murder of you know, a Republican lawmaker and his children, as well as allegedly suggesting law enforcement officers need to be killed so there would be less police killings. How troubling is this for you if he becomes the top law enforcement official in the state?
That would be a disaster, quite frankly. He's unqualified for the job to do that, make those kinds of comments. To think him is bad enough, but then to put it in writing and send it around is even worse. I mean, I tell you what, I can't believe anybody that was either in elected office or thinking about elected office would do such a thing. I mean, it's important that he would do such a thing. And if he's elected as a top cop, that really hurts us across the Commonwealth of Virginia. I mean, that would be a disaster for us, and I sure hope it doesn't happen. We have a great Attorney General already in place. I hope he gets reelected because we have a great relationship with him. He supports law enforcement. We support him. It's you know, one hand shakes the other. We're doing very, very well throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we hope to keep it going in that direction.
Loudoun County Sheriff Mike Chapman, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. God bless you.
Thank you. My pleasure.